Question. I do not understand clearly what being is. Answer. It is you, what you are. The more you know yourself, the more you know your being. If you have never learnt that you have being, the being of all people will be the same to you. Someone who has never heard of self-remembering, if you ask him, will say that he can remember himself. This is one being. Another knows he does not remember himself. This is a different being. A third is beginning to remember himself. This is a third being. This is how it must be taken. We understand the difference of objects, but in ordinary thinking we do not understand the difference of being. What do we learn in this system? First, that we are not one, that we have many eyes, that there is no central eye in control. This is the state of our being. The result is mechanicalness. We are machines. If we manage to be less mechanical, less divided in ourselves, if we manage to have more control of ourselves, it will mean that our being has changed. Evolution of man is quite possible, but it is possible only by changing knowledge and changing being, and changing being means acquiring consciousness. It cannot come by itself. It cannot happen. Question. I should like to know more exactly what is meant by being. I understood it is something more permanent as opposed to a sort of shifting collection of eyes. Answer. Do not make it too complicated. All of you is your being. Knowledge is separate. You can visualize separately all that you know, but all that you are, apart from what you know, is your being. One feature of our being is that we are machines. Another, that we live in only a small part of our machine. A third, this plurality that was spoken about in the first lecture. We can say I, but this I is different every moment. We have many eyes, all on the same level, and there is no central I in control. This is the state of our being. We are never one and never the same. If you write down all these features, you will see what would constitute a change of being and what can be changed. In each particular feature there is something that can change, and a little change in one feature means also a change in another. The more you know yourself, the more you know your being. If you do not know yourself, you do not know your being. And if you remain on the same level of being, you cannot get more knowledge. Question. On what does the difference in level among ordinary sleeping people depend? Answer. On reliability. There are more reliable people and less reliable people. This is also true in the work. Unreliable people cannot get much. Question. How does one develop one being? Answer. All that you have learnt, all that you have heard about, the possibility of development, all refers to being. First of all, development of being means awakening, since the chief feature of our being is that we are asleep. By trying to awake, we change our being. This is the first point. Then there are many other things: creating unity, not expressing negative emotions, observation, study of negative emotions, trying not to identify, trying to avoid useless talk. All this is work on being. It is true that in this way you acquire certain knowledge, but if it is simply intellectual knowledge, it is put separately. Being is power, power to do, and power to do is power to be different. Question. It is still not clear to me what you mean by being and state of being. Answer. Instead of looking for definitions, try to find illustrations. The being of a man is all that he is. Many things enter into being. You can be more conscious or more asleep, more divided or more whole, more interested in some things and less interested in others. You can lie more or lie less, dislike lying or lie without any embarrassment, be more consistent or less consistent, have a feeling of mechanicalness or not. You may have no great conflicts in yourself, or you may consist of conflicts, have comparatively few negative emotions, or be immersed in negative emotions. Generally, state of being means a greater or lesser consecutiveness of actions. When one thing contradicts another too much, It means weak being. We do not realize that if a man is very inconsistent, it makes his knowledge unreliable. Development of one line only, either knowledge or being, gives very bad results. Being includes all your power to do. Knowledge is only auxiliary. It can help, but in order to change our being, and this is where knowledge comes in, we must first realize and understand our present state. As we begin to understand the state of our being, we begin to learn what to do with ourselves. If you compare this system with others, you will find that it is precisely in the importance it gives to this idea of being that it differs from other systems, philosophical and otherwise. Other systems are concerned with knowledge or conduct. They assume that, such as we are, we can know more or behave differently. In religious systems, faith and conduct are generally regarded as being voluntary. One can be good or bad. It is arbitrary. But this system has the idea of different levels of being. On our present level of being, there is one knowledge, one conduct, one faith, all determined by being. But first comes knowledge, how little we know. You begin to study yourselves. You realize that you are machines, but that you can become conscious. The machine starts on a certain level of being. All it can or cannot do is dependent upon this level. Try to understand what is meant by being, levels of being, change of being. This system says that everything, forces, energies, different kinds of activity, they all depend on the level of being. We cannot know more because of our level of being. At the same time, the slightest difference in the level of being opens up new possibilities for knowledge and for doing. All our powers are determined by our level of being.